What up, y'all? Appreciate you showing up, hanging out, listening to my dumb ass, like and subscribe. So, I wanted to talk about the fact that there was I believe it was a Jason Schreier joint where he said that there was a report that the PlayStation studios were uncomfortable with this whole games as a service movement. And I mean, that's not a good thing for your studios to say. That's not something you should say out loud in public, basically. Now, I don't know where he gets, he's usually pretty on point with his reporting, so let's just say, sure, that's what they think. And honestly, if you look at the history of PlayStation, they have sucked at games and services. MLB The Show is on everything, basically. Still, what is it doing? Nobody's talking about it. No, I don't know who's playing it. Nah, it's not one of those games. Gran Turismo 7. I mean, somebody's playing it, but the thing about games and services is that they need to be giant, huge, big games, you know? They need to be Fortnite, they need to be Apex Legends, they need to be Fall Guys, all these games. But Sony has not been able to replicate that type of success with their first-party games. And that's what they're trying to do. Well, that's what Jim Ryan wanted them to do. But the studios are like, I don't know. So, like, how does that work? Like, you're a studio and you're against doing some games and service games, but your boss is like, you better make some games and service. Look at Redfall. That's what that was. That's why that failed, because the bosses said, yo, make this games and service games, let's make this money. And the people making Redfall were like, we don't want to make this game. This is exactly what's happening with Sony across the board, as far as I understand it, multiple studios. And so that's not going to work out. There's precedence to this. Redfall. That's what happened with Redfall. And then they tried to switch it at the end, and it didn't work. So how does Sony figure out, how do they figure that they're going to make these games when they, meaning the studios, don't want to make these games? They want to, because you have to understand, when games come out from a publisher, it isn't the publisher. I would say 99.99999 times out of 10, it's not the publisher who says, yo, we got an idea for a game, studio B or A, y'all make this game, let's go. That's not how it works. The studios go and they have a bunch of prototypes and they put together a pitch, and then they take that pitch to their publishers, the monies, and they say, we want to make this game. And then the publisher looks at it, yeah, that's cool, I make it, here's your money, budget, here's your money, That's how that works. So Jim Ryan ascribing all of these games and service games with a whole bunch of studios that don't want to make games and service games is a recipe for disaster. This is going to be bad. Y'all don't know it, but it's going to be bad. It just, a little mini thing of it just happened. Like I said, Redfall, that's what that was. So now Sony's going to replicate it tenfold. I mean, they already started. So let's say 3 of the games are already out, which is MLB The Show, Gran Turismo 7, and there has to be another one. I don't even know what it is. Or maybe 2. Let's just say 2. I mean, I guess you can count Destruction All-Stars, but I think they closed the servers on that, so that doesn't count anymore. But that's not how a successful games and service game is born. You need to have a studio who is passionate about multiplayer games, games as service, has a good idea about games as service, and can execute on their pitch. They need to pitch it. Naughty Dog needs to pitch a games as service game, not let's take the multiplayer, let's break it out into its own thing, and let's put skins in it. I mean, I don't know what the actual game was because Bungie shut it down so quick. And the thing is, Bungie's weird because they make really good single player content and multiplayer content. Excuse me. I mean, I guess they're probably the best avenue for doing that type of game that Sony has within their walls because nobody else wants to do it. But Sony needs to buy games as service studios. That's what they need to do. Not, let's make Naughty Dog a games as service. Let's make Sucker Punch a games as studio. All these stupid things, all these stupid ideas. You know, it's not gonna work because that's not what they do. They do single player sad dad walking simulators. That's what they do. That's what they're good at. You know, and I understand there's certain studios that can branch out because they got skills like that. Like Playground Games, they're like, yeah, we'll do Fable. Fable's cool. So far, it looks good. You know, we'll see if it's good or not, but we'll see if it's up at the same caliber as Forza Horizon. But you know, it's obviously Naughty Dog can't do a multiplayer game. Not up to today's standards. A GAAS game, they can't do it. So what do you do, Sony? What do? You build a studio. You organically grow it from the ground up. You put the seeds in the dirt and you build these damn studios to make the games you want to make. Not force the studios that you already have to make games that they don't want to make. That's what's happening right now at PlayStation. I was listening to Colin Moriarty on BRAP, and he was concerned about the amount of games as service games and the fact that the passion isn't there, which means if the passion isn't there, then the artistry won't come through because it's basically just, we gotta make this game. I mean, I'm sure it'll look good, possibly. I mean, games as service games are different beasts, so it doesn't need to look cinematic. That's the problem that Sony has. That's all they do. That's their forte. So you take that away from them, they can't say, yeah, this is a Sony game, because you look at it, it's like, that don't look good. That don't look like a Sony. That don't look like the Sony games that I know, because it's not. Because they don't know how to make any other type of game. Oh man, they're in trouble. They're in trouble, and it's too late for them to join the party. I mean, at least you look at Apex, you look at the ones that are on top, right? The games and service games that are on top. They're not a Microsoft game. Well, Microsoft has a few, but Microsoft, as far as games and service, Microsoft is in second place because they got Sea of Thieves, they got Grounded. You know, say what you want, but they got millions of players. They're about to get Call of Duty. Come on, son. It's you know, to quote somebody, it's a wrap. Sony, they waited too long on their old ass formula, and they're gonna have to rely on that formula for a while because they don't have the games to pivot. And even if they had a banger, I don't think it would be enough because it's not gonna be a Call of Duty banger. And a little bit of a tangent, right? I think one of the reasons why Jim Ryan is no longer the CEO of PlayStation is because he basically shat on all of the studios during this ABK trial. I heard somebody say it. I think it was probably Dirk Griggity. I think it was Sean actually. And basically he said he threw all of his studios under the bus. PlayStation Studio, he threw Naughty Dog under the he threw everybody under the bus because he said that we are not able to make a game like Call of Duty. We can't do it. We're not good enough. And the studios are sitting there like, yo, what the hell are you talking about, Jim Ryan? What the hell is this? How you going? I said this before. That's horrible for morale. And I'm sure like the heads up over in Japan were looking at him like, yeah, you're done. You're done. We're gonna look at the calendar. We're gonna see when we're gonna give you the boot. And they're gonna say, oh, well, we let him retire. Or he's retiring because he's tired. That's the most BS excuse I ever heard. Sorry, my voice is going. Oh, I'm tired. And your boy Colin just said in the interview, and he's on BRAP or something, He said, oh yeah, he mentioned in interviews before that he's so tired of flying around the world, blah, blah. That's your job, son. You crying because you getting paid 6 figures? That's your job. I know he's getting paid 6 figures because I get paid 5. So if you're a CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, you better be making 6. So I'm sorry, Wham crying Jim Ryan. He's literally crying about, oh my gosh, my job is so hard. I get paid all this money to fly around and talk to me. Man, shoot. He's out of his damn mind crying about that. So that's not what it was. They were gonna fire him. They wanted him out because he said some stupid stuff. He's been saying stupid, my voice is cracked. He's been saying stupid stuff his whole 4 years there. Started off saying, oh, we don't want the children to get harmed, PlayStation Live. That's why crossplay doesn't work. I mean, get that. No. Stupid stuff. Who wants to play this ugly ass game talking about Gran Turismo? Who wants to play this garbage? Paraphrasing. Stupid stuff. We believe in generations. Stupid stuff. I mean, there's Jim Ryan's greatest hits somewhere out there. I can't even think of them all, but you know, the lies. It's just, you know, whatever. But I'm gonna keep it short. Let me know what y'all think about the reason why Jim Ryan's really let go. I know I repeated this before, but you know, kind of thinking about it a little bit more gave me a little bit of not insight, but a little bit more opinions about it. And also, the main thing really is these studios not wanting to make these games as service games, and the uppers at Sony wanting them to be made. That sounds like a recipe for disaster for Sony, and these games are going to be, they're not going to be good. And I think the indication is that Bungie saw what Faction was, and it's like, yeah, nah. I mean, even we know as Bungie, we're not the best, but that's hot trash garbage. You gotta make games that's better than what we do. And they ain't doing it. So, I don't know. Let me know what y'all think about all that stuff. About these studios that want to make games. About Bungie saying hell no. About Jim Ryan crying. And his super boot in the booty hole out. But I appreciate y'all. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Tilt the weight.